one. Hello, I'm back. I've already dyed the back sides of these. I want the back sides of the straps to be dark. The top sides will be the dry color, right? So a little light brown. And I've gone ahead and painted in some of the stitching from where I bound the holster. I figured I showed you all the easy stuff when I was working on the other videos. So I'm going to dye the inside of the holster on camera for you guys, so that you can see how it works and how I do it. So you have a couple of choices. You can use the dye as is. It spreads pretty easy, it's fine. Or you can generally get the piece wet as you're working on it, and then the dye spreads a little bit better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the inside of the holster, and I'm going to use my dark brown chocolate dye on a wet surface, and hopefully it'll suck up a lot of that chocolate. It's going to look like that color on the inside. I've already colored all the borders. I told you in the last video or something that I like to use Sharpies a lot of the time because it really makes that border stand out. And then the outside will be that light brown. So hopefully this will be still greenish when everything's dyed in, and then it'll probably blend some of those darker streaked lines a little better. So I'm pretty excited about it. Looks like I actually touched part of my finger on the outside, but it'll be okay. I use these little glass jars. My wife gets these yogurts that they come in, and they work pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to saturate the inside of this thing, right? A little bit of water. Just spread it in there. And you can make it kind of wet if you want to. I like to. It'll help this dye spread pretty good. So I try to saturate, especially since I'm going to be working on this for a moment. I'm going to soak this front side just a little bit more than I will the back side. Hope you can see that. I could use a spray bottle, but I don't necessarily want to soak it, you know. I want to get it damp, but I don't want water pooling on it. Honestly, it probably doesn't matter. It does matter a little bit because the holster, if you get it too wet, the holster will start to stick in the shape that it is, and well, I kind of want, sorry, I'm working out of screen kind of. I want really good even finish on the whole inside of this. I'll be doing the same thing with dye here in just a moment, which is why I wanted to show you dyeing the inside, because the inside dye is much darker than the outside. Part of the process is accepting that sometimes you'll just deal with hard stuff, and sometimes you may just not make a perfect product, and that's okay. Honestly, it's very okay not to have a perfect product. Fortunately for me, I can say that because I'm not selling these to anybody. It's actually for my own personal use. This is a hobby of mine. I like doing stuff and making things, so it's pretty fun for me. My wife kept telling me I needed to make YouTube videos, and so here I am trying that out. I guess we'll see how that goes, huh? Remember, you're just really trying to get every bit of it wet. And you'll notice here a little bit of overrun on the Sharpie borders, but that's fine. It'll be on the inside anyway. It's not nearly as bad as that overrun. But again, no need for perfection. Really good is close enough. There we go. Look at that. Re-wet the inside and a couple of big streaks. All right, I'm going to call that good for now. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to suck up quite a bit of this dye, and I'm going to run it right down the middle here. Just keep it moving, because it only stays dry out of that pot for, or sorry, it only stays wet out of that pot for a few moments, and then it starts to dry up. And so we'll get back in there. Grab some more. You just really want to try to do one coat full coverage so you don't have to come back and do it again, because if you don't get it all in one go, when you come back it's always going to be a little bit darker. So get it all before it dries the first time. It's not going to be the end of the world if you don't, though. Again, nothing has to be perfect for it to be great. And look at that, it's soaking through a little bit. It's unfortunate. That is what happens when you get a very wet spot, though. It just kind of sucks all the way through the workpiece, and that is also normal. I don't want you to think that's not normal. It is just leather. It is not entirely waterproof. It'll be all right. It could also be from the go ahead and get a little bit more of this in here. It could be from a wet spot, sucking up some of that dye I chose to use for the grassy look. I went ahead and dunked it all over my finger because I'm really good at this. There we go. And clean that up. Another thing you should not do is do what I just did and put flammable chemicals in a rag and just toss it away on the counter. Before I'm done with all of this, I will pick that up and I will hang it somewhere to dry so that it does not just spontaneously combust in my garage and burn my house down. You may be thinking, well, maybe it's not the one that does it. I don't care if it's the chemical that does it or not. I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to, before I'm done this evening, oops, see, there we go. Before I'm done this evening, I will pick that rag up, and I will find a good spot for it to hang and dry. And if you're ever using a rag to clean up a flammable chemical, I suggest you do the same. Not worth a house fire. Sorry, you probably couldn't see very much of that. It's getting dark inside of that holster. You know? It's getting real dark in this holster. All right. So, looks like the whole inside is done and chocolated out. I'm not going to retouch the front because I already told you not to do that. And if I did that, I would just be a hypocrite. So what I am going to do, I'm going to wet down all of this right here. And I'm going to dye the tongue tag too. And if you're here, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm not trying to make money or anything. And honestly, if you don't want to watch it, I'm not hurt by that either. I'm just doing something I enjoy. And I think it brings me great happiness to watch other people do stuff on YouTube that brings them joy. So, at my wife's urge of putting some of this up, I figure hopefully somebody will see some of this. Oh, I'm touching that again. Hopefully somebody will see some of this and find the courage to maybe do something of their own. Yeah, look at that. I'm just going to touch all of it. I don't care anymore. It's going to be dark. The outside is where you don't necessarily want to do that. I just want this absolutely like blacked out. I want it to be a void when you look inside of this holster. Another thing I should have told you is that you probably shouldn't run swirls either, because they always end up looking bad. You can ask me how I know in the comments. I'll respond. I have about 19 subscribers right now. I will respond to you. All right, cool. Neato. This is what we're working with so far. I'm gonna probably protect the inside of this, and then I'm gonna twist some cord back around that so it's nice and tight again. Actually, honestly, I could just yeah, looking pretty good. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and stop here for now, and then I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna give it some time to do what it needs to do, and then go ahead and get this video uploaded as well. And then in the meantime, I hope you guys have a good night. Hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good afternoon. Hope whatever you're doing, you're having a good time. Stay easy.